The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Brecken Farms, Stonewall Stud, IRT, it's your horse and our passion, Australasian-wide Garrard's Horse and Hound, Rikiro Racing Stables, Lincoln Farms, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge Raceway, Ashburton Trotting Club, Addington Raceway and Harness Racing New Zealand.
Dad came out from Scotland with his father and their family and settled in Littleton actually. And Dad worked for Scotty Bryce for a wee bit, and then he decided he might head to Auckland where the trotting was starting to go pretty good and start up training up here. Well, he no sooner got up here than the Depression hit, so that was the end of that for quite a few years.
And then along came this famous brand, RC and B Purdon, Cleveland.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Your middle name's Cleveland. That's
it
just
is, yeah.
Pure coincidence, eh?
It is. I don't know how that worked out.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Mm. And the start of a dynasty at Cleveland.
Mm.
A remarkable record, something like 19 premierships in 20 years.
Yeah.
Could you ever have dreamed?
No, I couldn't. But I was so lucky, like having a son like Barry, that he loved the training too, and he was so dedicated, and you know everything worked like clockwork.
And in those early days as a partnership,
yes,
a pretty nice pacer called Soul Command came along.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, he was a great thrill because he was the first Cup winner, New Zealand Cup, which is the pinnacle really of trotting in New Zealand, I think, and it was a great thrill to win with him.
I think you described him once as a dream to train.
Yes, he was a dream to train, yeah.
You raced him with Barry and Molly Walker?
That's right, yeah, they were lovely people, yeah.
He won twice at 2, 5 times at 3, won a New Brighton Cup. That's
right.
Second at a Messenger behind Forto Prontessa,
yeah.
it was. And then he won the New Zealand Cup in the hands of P.T. Wolford and beating Greg Robertson, and we win.
That's right.
Remember the day?
I do, certainly do.
Massive crowd there.
Oh, gee. Colossal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the race itself? Can you remember much about that?
Yes, I was standing at the bottom of the straight actually, and you know, you never think you're really going to win a New Zealand Cup. You need a lot of luck and the horse, but the horse was well, and I thought if he just got a good run, he'll be in the money anyway, but to win it, and I wasn't sure whether I'd won it or not, and I was standing with Jack Slimensky, and he said, "You won that?" Yeah, I said, "Do you think so?" He said, "Guarantee it." Well, he'd know because he was standing at the bottom of Australia quite a few times, you could tell, you know.
Under the old tree there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that was quite a great thrill.
We've touched on the boys a wee bit. Owen was a very good horseman in his
Very
own
good,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of your success, though, comes back to Margaret, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Without her guiding influence,
yes,
it would have made it even more difficult.
Oh, that's, well, I mean, in any top business, man, you've got to have a good partner, I think.
Yeah. She steered you in the right direction a few times.
Yeah, and the wrong one too.
23 years ago, the MBE, is that as proud as
that was
Roy Purdon's ever been?
Absolutely wonderful thrill, that. Never thought I'd ever get anything like that, but it happened and I got it.
Wonderful for the family and for yourself. I mean, a fair recognition, because it's not the only, I mean, it's the ultimate recognition, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's not the only time you've been recognised. Hall of Fame's all over Australasia.
Yeah, that's
RC
right.
Purdon.
Yeah. Bit lucky, yeah.
Well, I don't know if luck played too big a part, Roy. I think there might be a bit of skill there at times.
Oh, I don't know.
It's been good to you, the game, though.
Very good, yeah, very good. Yeah, and it's the people you meet too that, and the Aussies are great competitors, and they're great guys, and they can't do enough for you.
No regrets?
None at all. No, none at all.
It's Chokin in front. Master Musician and Blossom Lady's trying to cut them down to the outside. It's Chokin, Master Musician and Blossom Lady and Giovanetto. But Chokin's won the cup. Second home, Master Musician, Giovanetto in a photo.
Well, at this poignant moment, Michael Guerin, it was appropriate we started the show with the legend that was Roy Purdon. His contribution to not only harness racing, racing in general, and sport in New Zealand. When you say the name Purdon, it all really began with him and Margaret, and he loved this program. He loved watching the television in the latter years, and yeah, like I say, nobody through his name has made more of a contribution.
Agreed. And Greg, it was a sad time last week with the initial shock of Roy's passing, and he'll be laid to rest with a small family gathering on Thursday. But what a life to celebrate. And that's how I remember him, Greg. I remember him with the occasional funny story and his very poignant words and his ways of putting things. A good lesson in how to be calm and try, some of us try, to be gentlemen, but Roy was the ultimate gentleman. Tremendously skilled man, as we know, in racing. Wonderful father and grandfather and father-in-law to so many people who are involved in our industry, Greg. Impossible to replace. His legacy and his name will live on as long as there's harness racing anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. But for many people too, Greg, including both you and I, we lost a friend. Not a friend in the usual context. I mean, Roy was 94 and he was a legend, so you wanted him to like you. But I think that also applies to thousands, literally thousands of other people watching this show around Australasia, Greg, who had the opportunity to meet Roy, which was, in harness racing, a bit like an audience, you know, getting to meet the man. And so many people speak so glowingly of him. So what a wonderful life. That's how I'll remember him, Greg, and all those cool moments and cool little phone calls and what he's left us with through his efforts, through Barry, through Mark, through Suzanne, Owen, and everybody else involved in their families and their kids after that. So amazing life story, Greg, which is well worth celebrating.
Yeah, it certainly is. A couple of thousand winners, of course, over 50 domestic Group 1s, and really appropriate, and we'll get to it later on in the show, when his grandson Nathan trained at the Group 1 win there in the Ladyship Cup with Spellbound, and I thought it epitomised the entire Purdon family, his reaction, and the fact that he said Grandad was a great horseman, but he was a better granddad. So rest in peace, Roy. On a different note, different family, during the week, Val Nine passed away, Michael, and the Nine name, almost as synonymous, particularly in the South Island, as the Purdon name, and Val married to Barry. I lived across the road for them for quite a few years, and a lovely lady, always immaculately dressed, always went to the races looking her best, and yeah, to Mandy and Grant and the remainder of the family, the Nine family, our thoughts are with you as well.
Yeah, rich lives, Greg. Rich lives full of lots of winners and lots of great conversations and lots of wonderful friendships. So let's hope when our time comes we've all had those sort of experiences to look back on.
Well, I know they would both say the show must go on, and the show is a big one this week. So let's get straight into it with Addington Raceway, and it is the 50th running of the Fahey Fenshire New Zealand Standardbred Breeders' Stakes. Looking forward to getting into this. The market has come up with the favourite being Better Twist at around $2. Also well in the market, and off the back of the barrier draw, Bellamontana at $5s. All American Lover finished second, of course, $6.50 in the Premier Mares. And the next best back is the winner of that race in Need You Now, which is the race we want to have a look at first to remind you of how good she was, Michael. That's her ducking to the inside of Better Talk Art. She gets the win. Bellamontana was right there, and this race has been such a key race leading into the Group 1 over the years.
Very similar field, but the main difference and the very big difference is in this race, the favourite, Better Twist, was drawn wide, and over the sprint trip, Greg, they kept her wide. That's probably not going to be the case this week. Very similar fields and a very fast front line, but, big but, it's 2,600 metres, Greg. So all of a sudden you're thinking, if Need You Now, or if Better Talk Art, or if Bellamontana, or Life's a Beach, if they burn early and then they lob to the fence, what happens? That's the question for punters, what happens? Do they hand up to Better Twist, Greg? And I think they probably do. I don't see any of those horses who wouldn't, with maybe the smallest of exceptions that Need You Now wouldn't. So then you say to yourself, if I am thinking Better Twist is going to be in front, is she good enough and forward enough to win? Well, as we look at Life's a Beach, who raced last week and was a good winner in an albeit easier field, I think they hand up Greg, and then I think there's improvement and better twist. I spoke to Mark Purdon for the show to say, what do you expect? And he said, we knew she was half a run short last time. We expect her to be fitter and sharper, and that, Greg, makes her the horse to beat. Then your question starts to be, well, who's going to be on her back? I don't know. Maybe Better Talk Art, maybe Bella Montana, maybe Need You Now. Depends how much pressure there is early. Maybe Life's a Beach, who we just saw winning there last week. And Greg, you think, can those horses run past her? They can't run past the best version of Better Twist. I think the best chance of one of those horses running past her would be Bella Montana, but I'm not sure she would hold up, Greg. So she's clear top pick this week for 2 reasons, Greg. Better draw, 3 reasons. Better draw, she'll be fitter, longer trip, but I think the horse who could slingshot her if there was one in the race would be Bella Montana. She did that 2.5 years ago when she won the Jewels on this track, running past Princess Tiffany.
So therefore, is $2 enough for Better Twist?
It is, very much so, because you were getting a similar price last time in a race I thought she probably couldn't win. I think this week she'll be in front. In her last 10 starts, Greg, when she's led on the marker pegs, which is obviously the obvious place you get to from the lead, I'm not talking being half carting outside the leader, she's won all 3 times she's done that. Of the other 7 times when she hasn't led and has been in the running line and running hard, but not against the marker pegs, she's won 1 of 7. 1 of 7.
Yep.
So the crucial part is putting her on the marker pegs. The last time we saw her doing that was the Queen of Hearts against most of these, and she won.
Yeah, she was simply too good. The start's going to be intriguing for me. You're right with Bella Montana. Will Life's a Beach put all her chips in? Does John Dunn do the same? So I do think any of those that do land the lead nice and early, that's not to say that All American Lover might not have a dip either. They would hand a Better Twist, particularly over the longer distance, because otherwise they might not be there in the end. It's a great field, and it's a deserved of the 50th running of this excellent race, won by all of the best mares. Let's have a look at the feature trot this week, and it involves Midnight Dash, who's been racing in awesome form. This was Matthew Williamson doing his absolute best to beat Muscle Mountain. It's a small field this week, Michael, but a tricky one again. Midnight Dash is drawn in barrier 5. It's a 2,600 metre mobile. Heavyweight Hero, who we know is a Group 1 winner at the Cup meeting over a year ago now. And Chief of Staff, who went the race of his life last time when he lined up in the Dominion. He's a really interesting running, but the only thing I'd say, caveat with Midnight Dash, is he hasn't won in a wee while. In fact, he hasn't won since May of last year, but he's performed at the highest level all the way through, and he'll be pleased that Muscle Mountain's still in his box as he goes out the gate of the Hope Barn on Friday night.
He sure will be, and the reason he hasn't won for a long time is because he's raced such good horses. He's had a couple of get-ready starts off handicaps and other races, but mainly Greggy races the best. And it's a little bit like the Chosen One and the Galloping Co. When you race the best all the time, you're not going to win because he's just not good enough to do that Midnight Dash, but he is this week. Heavyweight Hero not suited by the 2,000 metre standing start last week, so he's an obvious chance. He has gate speed to potentially head forward. I'll wait on Chief of Staff. I don't like him quite this fresh up, Greg, but it's his race to lose. Midnight Dash. By the way, Matty Williamson, really good drives last week at Addington. Handled both that horse who lost and Cranbourne who won as perfectly as you could have.
Yeah, he certainly did that, Michael. So looking forward to a 9-race program, a little bit light on numbers with Cheviot being on Sunday as well, but some very, very good horses there, so can't wait to get into that. The first there gets underway at 5:21, and nice and early, Michael, you do get to race number 3, and Ultra Wise Guy goes up against Cranbourne, so we'll wrap that result next week and get an insight on where those horses are going from there. To complement the Group 1 night at Addington, an excellent program out of Cambridge. It's their Gold Cup night. We're going to preview both of those races for the Waikato Bay of Plenty Harness Racing Club. Race number 6 is the Better Vet Cambridge Gold Cup for the Pacers, and Last Tango in Heaven was excellent, winning here back on the 13th of January in the Morrinsville Cup. Look, he came off a mark on that occasion. He stormed home, Michael, and he'll get his chance, albeit off the 30 metres this week.
Look, and it's not easy off those handicaps, Greg, but yes, this is the race he's been set for. He'll get his chance. Look, I like the horse. I think he's going to make his way most of the way to open class, and he's top picked this week, but so much depends on the standing start, Greg. So much depends on whether they're 3 back on the outside or 4 or 5 back on the outside, or whether in fact there's a non-dominant leader, and you can get around to the lead. Tricky races, handicap races at Cambridge. I think he's the horse who's probably going the furthest out of them. So top pick. I think I'll wait till the markets come out, Greg, till I really know what to expect and which horse I would prefer to back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because High Point and Dylan Ferguson, I imagine he'll put the foot down again. I suppose in the favour of Last Tango in Heaven is back there with him is New York Minute. So, yeah, there might be some moves in the run, and if he's in the right spot, we know he has a very potent finish. The Ike Unsworth Bailey's Cambridge Gold Cup for the Trotters. Son of Patrick, his record at Cambridge is quite unbelievable, isn't it? He's won 6 of 7. The only time he got beaten was in the Jewels when he finished third and behind Five Wise Men. And he just enjoys this way of going. Michael, not saying he can't win right-handed, but he's definitely better left for mine.
Well, you get the feeling, Greg, he might end up living in Australia before the end of 2022 for that exact reason. He'd do a wonderful job over there, but you're right, he's a very good horse at Cambridge. He loves it there. Handicaps don't seem to bother him because he's a horse who has quite a long sprint. He's a horse you can put into the race, and Crystal Hackett's driven him a treat the time she's sat behind him, and give him his chance under those circumstances. So, yep, he's perfect for me for Cambridge. Again, I would be very, very tempted, Greg, to be going to the marketplace with him in the middle of the year, because if they don't handle Alexandra Park, and he has handled it before, but if they get a stitch on it, Greg, he'd just be a beautiful little horse for somewhere like Menangle for a start. Big, long, progressive sprint on him. I think he's a horse who can win this week, and yeah, there's my advice for the owners.
Yeah, he won the race last year off the 20 metres, and this year, of course, he goes back a little bit further, so it won't be that easy for him. The other one I wanted to have a look at was Sacred Mountain. Has put together back-to-back winning performance. This is in the Breeders' Stakes at Group 3 level, in the colours there of Nicky Chilcott with Maurice McKendry. Maurice takes the drive again, a mare by Muscle Hill, raced by the Butterworths out of a family they've had good success with, and no reason to think that this horse can't continue on its winning way. It's only had the 4 starts in those colours, and yeah, like I say, saluted twice already, Michael.
Yeah, I like him. It's got a nice trotting action, nice horse. Think he's a 5-win horse already. Then obviously once they get to about 5 wins for the Trotters, Greg, most of them need to improve. But yep, Nicky's got a couple of nice horses around her at the moment, and that's one.
Yeah, Michael, that is a really good program, 11 races, and I think it was about over 130 horses, so nice work from David Branch and the team there. Friday night action, but of course it's been a big week for the Cambridge Club. They've announced the 10 slot holders, which you can now see on your screen, headed up by Aussie lads, Barrett Holmes, Cullen Breeding, some of these names you know well, Dunstan Horse Feeds, the Hole in the Wall Gang, Honey Brothers, Hydroflow Distributors, which of course is the Breckens, the Kennards are there, SENZ, great to have them involved, Michael, and a group are getting involved in the 10th slot there, headed up by Summit Bloodstock, and plenty of names that you know there, Richard Cole, Trevor Casey and the like. So the first thing we have to compliment here, Michael, is the effort of David Branch and his team to fill those slots. Not only are they filled for 1 year, but this is here for 3.
It's weird, Greg. A $900,000 race that didn't exist 2 months ago, didn't officially exist a week ago. It's now here, and it's going to be $1 million, and it's going to be $1,000,001. This is a great thing. And there'll be some people who don't like the concept. Forget about that. If it wasn't your idea, let's put it away. It doesn't matter. It's not costing you any money. It's not costing harness racing any money. This is an amazing thing, Greg. This is an amazing thing that David, given the mandate by his board, the Waikato Bay of Plenty Harness Racing Club board have supported this, and David couldn't have done that without them. And first of all, the idea came from Harness Racing New Zealand, but David has been the one who picked up this ball, and he slam dunked it. They've got all 10 spots filled, and it's a mixture of businesses, some in Australia, independent people. Some of the syndicates, Greg, have 10 people involved in them, and they've taken a little share. And a lot of them have registered them under their business names, so they get those tax advantages we talked of. It's going to be an amazing experience, Greg. I've dealt with a lot of slot holders this week already who are saying to me, what do you think? What are we getting? The games have started. The games have well and truly started. There'll be horses signed, if not officially, before Saturday. And then we get to enjoy this. It's not costing me any money or you any money, Greg. We get to enjoy this. And every one of those businesses or those people, because most of them own their own businesses, Greg, like the Kennards or like the Breckens, they're also going to carry the race with them. Like SENZ, which is a huge media company. They're going to say, hey, this is Harness Racing New Zealand. We're going to tell you about it, and we're going to tell you about it every day. It's amazing, Greg. It's an amazing thing. So let's put the negativity behind us. This has happened during sales week, $1 million, or as close enough to it, races turned out. Let's get behind it. Let's have some fun. The elephant in the room, Greg, is that it won't be potentially as big this year as maybe we'd like it to be because of COVID. And eventually there will be more money tipped into this. It's a starting point. But I tell you what, I was at the first ever Karaka Million night, Greg, and it wasn't as good as it is now.
Yep.
This is starting. This is huge. This is a big, big deal. And I think congratulations to everybody who's taken a slot. Congratulations to everybody who believed in the idea. And I'm looking forward to being part of it, Greg, just as a broadcaster and a journalist and a fan. Yep. And I know you are too. And if this isn't good news for harness racing and people want to bicker over the distance and bicker over the prize money, yeah.
You need to try another sport.
Well, maybe you're watching the wrong show. Because really, this is turned out. And I'll tell you what's going to happen next. This is a certainty. Inside 2 years, Australia will say, well, we've got to have one.
Yep.
And of course they do. And that's good for the industry.
Of course
and
it is.
for every yearling purchase this weekend and next week.
It's going to be
by
eligible.
the time they're 3, Greg, they can race for $6 million in 4 months.
Yeah,
and it's only a matter of time before the Gallops do the same here. Now, Ellerslie are the only people with the firepower to do it, and they probably can't do it now because they're closing for 18 months.
Yeah.
But they're good people. They're progressive people too. They will do this, and this will spur them. This will spur them to do this, Greg. This isn't just a harness race. This is a huge deal for Australasian harness racing and New Zealand racing.
Yeah.
It's just a tick in every conceivable box. I congratulate the people who supported it. I look forward to telling your stories heading forward.
Yep, we'll certainly do that here on Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. We've got a new concept starting Saturday night as well. It's the Harness Millions out of Alexandra Park, and we will preview each and every race for you on the other side. Welcome back into Your Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors, of course. The new concept, the Harness Millions, is on Saturday night, and we kick it off with a cracking contest. It is the Lone Star Alex Lyle Creek Stakes. Here's the market for you. Favourite, not surprisingly, Sunday Sun, $1.25. Bolt for Brilliance at $2.80. What about this for a lineup as we go to Bolt for Brilliance winning at Cambridge? He won it last year, Sunday Sun. He can join Lyle Creek, I Can Do's at 1 over Kenny, Pride of Petite, Idle Scott, Carl Bryden, Admiral So and I, Scotch Tar and Eastern Light Michael if he's able to win.
Yep, the race that we deserve to have named after the great Lyle Creek, our best ever trotter, and Bolt for Brilliance would be a very nice addition to that list, Gregory. But the little problem he's got, as well as he is trotting, and of course he has been able to beat Temporale regularly over the summer, and Temporale, frank to that form in Australia, is the same problem all the open class trotters have. Sunday's Sun. Last time he went to Alexandra Park, he just jogged home to win a Road Cup. We know he's the best trotter in the country. Here's that Road Cup last May. There's Bolt for Brilliance outside him in the Harness Jewels colours, which he went on to win, finishing a very brave second. But Greg, that's been more or less the story of it over their meetings in the years. Sunday Sun has tended to win. Bolt for Brilliance beat him once last year at Addington when he was able to lead when Sunday Sun was probably underdone. They come in comparable, Greg, I would suggest, in race fitness. For that reason, I would suggest Sunday Sun could get off the gate quicker, lead, he would win. If he gets off the gate okay, the same speed as Bolt for Brilliance, there's a very good chance Hurley he hands up and Sunday Sun would win. Or he can sit parked outside Bolt for Brilliance, and that may change the margin, Greg, but I would have him about 60-40% to win. So lots of ways he can win, Greg, probably outside bad manners. Not many ways he can lose unless Bolt reaches a new career peak.
48th running of that excellent race, a great way to start the night, and of course it starts at 9 minutes to 8 o'clock, so a pretty late sort of a start. Let's go to race number 2, just the 3 going to the post, the market for it. Won't take long to read this out. Highgrove $1.20, El Conqueror at $7 for the Master Paul Nairn, and Wi-Fi, who's yet to win a 9 starts for Mark Purdon and Hayden Cullen, completes the field. Michael in 1, Highgrove, it's his race to lose. I thought first up at the park last time, excellent run from him, barrier 1, if he trots all the way, he should make it an early double for the Duns.
He should win by 5 if he trots to the way. Could win by more. He could probably afford to lose 30 or 40 here and still win. This race needs to move to the South Island, Greg. I love the whole Harness Millions concept, but this race is the wrong race for it because there's 3 horses in the race and they're from the South Island.
Yep.
Trotting's where South Island is the strongest. This race, I doubt, will be part of this program next year, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's only the second time in 30 years it's been run in the north.
Yep,
with
totally
probably
agree,
good reason.
Hey, we've changed a lot of things around. As I said, this is going to be a cool night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll get better too.
Yep.
Much like the race night will, but Highgrove, unless he goes absolutely apoplectic, Greg, and loses his rag totally, will bolt him.
Let's leave race number 2 for you and go on to the third on the program. This is for the fillies, and we race for $150,000. New Zealand's bloodstock standardbred harness million for the 3-year-old fillies, dominated by True Fantasy. Not surprising. We'll have a look at her most recent trial. Lady of the Light is around the $12 mark. Second favourite is actually Dance Till Dawn at $9. But let's have a look at True Fantasy at the workouts. That's her in the blue colours in the hands of Brent Mangos. I spoke to him about this trial. He said, wow, she's fast. That's Hot and Treacherous in second, Chimichurri in front, Michael. They really sprinted quickly here, home in 26.5, and he said, gee, she gave him a great feel and just dashes between runners here, and her last 50 was exceptional.
She had a very minor setback, Greg, about a month ago, just maybe a paddock or a travel sort of incident, nothing serious. And she's overcome that, obviously, by the look of that workout. Those horses are a class above the horses she's meeting this week, and she'll be winning. Unless she underperforms or something goes wrong, Greg, she'll win.
Yep, she's the best in that. Let's have a look at race number 4, which is the Brecon Farms Young Gun Heat. It is, of course, a good clash here between Merlin and Sevi. The market reads $1.40 Merlin, Sevi $4.50. We'll have a look at both of these horses and their winning performance, starting with Merlin. This was, of course, Michael, last week, home in 27.5, and they don't go much better than this on debut.
I actually think both the horses you're about to see actually weren't suited by the runs they had. I think this horse had to lead because he was going to dominate. Second horse was actually very good. He'll be a better horse with a sit. Art Major, not very big, very, very fast. He'll be super explosive with a sit. Wouldn't even be surprised, even with the better of the barrier draws, if he leads this week and hands up. I wouldn't say it's impossible. To this horse, who ironically, Sevi, the horse coming out of the trail here into the passing lane, only just gets up. I actually think, Greg, he's a better leader. And I think it was a fresh up run. Butch in front made the intention very clear he was going to stay in front. And the leader went very good. So Sevi got him, but I think he got him, Greg, more because he was a better horse than by actually enjoying what he was doing. I think Sevi's a big, strong son of Vincent, and I think he'll be better in front. I think that Merlin is a better horse with a sit. They may just roll the dice this week and say we're going to lead and do it again, but I think they're very different types of horses, Greg, and I think they're both very smart horses, but I think speed wins you more races than stamina. Not saying Merlin doesn't have any. And I think that we'll see that this week from him. The runner-up in both those races turns up in this race again, Greg, and it's a hell of a deep juvenile race considering we're only a month into the season.
Yeah, exactly. I'm keen on sooner the better too. I'm looking forward to see him progress. I know he's off the second row on Saturday night, but his first up run there was quite exceptional. Let's move to race number 5. This is the clash we've all been waiting for. However, the barrier draw has dictated who's favourite for it. Franco Indy, he beat Akuta last time. He's $1.85. Akuta $2, and it's basically write your own ticket for the next best, $21 Major Perry, and about the same for the likes of Cyrus. Let's hear from Mark Purdon about he and Hayden Cullen's 2-star 3-year-olds.
Well, Mark, let's talk about Franco Indy first. Since he beat home Akuta, did that surprise you?
No, not at all, Mick. No, he's a very, very good horse. Been training very good, and Nat gave him a perfect trip, so he was always going to be hard.
He seemed good off the gate. He seemed comfortable right-handed. That must boost the confidence for Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely. Nat said he was a little bit in and out, but so I'm sure the experience on the track will do him the world of good, and he'll be good for next week.
You had the green colours of Akuta on. He obviously got well back and had to come wide. What did you make of his run?
I was wrapped with his run, Mick, especially the mile rate, and from the 600 I made a move, and it's hard around that bottom corner out wide to make any ground. So he was going as quick as anything, but he couldn't make ground there, and he kept coming all the way up the straight.
You've got some other talented 3-year-olds here tonight, in Cyrus and Franco Mack, but it's got to be awfully hard to beat the other boys, the open class 3-year-olds as they are now on Saturday night.
Yes, and that's the class they are, Mick. They are sort of really open class horses, not ready to take these guys on, but that's where they're heading.
Would have been a tough day. A lot of things to be organised today with your dad's passing, and a lot of people, I'm sure, ringing and texting. I'm sure there's been a wave of support throughout the industry, Mark.
I can't keep up with them, Mick. It's been overwhelming and very touching, and it's just something that it's touched. He's touched a lot of people in his life, and he's had a wonderful life.
Yeah, and it would have seemed a little bit weird if we didn't touch on the life of Roy Purdon with one of his sons, of course, in Mark. Look, I was making this race the match race that everyone was looking forward to on the night, Michael. The barrier draw has changed things slightly there, with Franco Indy drawn to lead, $1.85. He may even start shorter than that by the time they jump, because Akuta follows out Cos I Can, who's not a noted gate flyer.
No, and I wouldn't think it matters who he followed out, because they have to get off the marker pegs regardless. It's a sales race, and therefore you have mixed quality of horses in the race. I think two things to take out of it. First of all, the barrier draw, but secondly, Harry handled the track and the gate speed factor last week, Franco Indy. He was very, very good off the gate. Powerful, in fact. So he'll get across Cos I Can, of course. Maybe Chimichurri could be an interesting early contender, but Nat usually gets what she wants in races when driving a good horse. So let's put him in front. That's where we think he's going to be. So I said to Mark Purdon today for our box seat viewers, what happens next? He said, well, I have to go sit parked. And then I said, well, there's one other question here. What happens after that? He said, I just can't see me beating him. So me, being a Akuta, beating Franco Indy. That's how he feels it could go, Greg. That's if they run up to their potential and everybody's happy and everything works the right way. That's what they expect to happen. Franco Mack has had a slight setback during the week. They believe he may well be scratched, but from barrier 8, he's not going to be a large factor in the market. So if we're putting Franco Indy in front and Akuta outside him, I'm not saying it's impossible, Greg, but it's obvious which one I would like to be on. How do you see the feature of the night?
Yeah, exactly the way Mark does, actually. I think getting to the markers first and the quality that Franco Indy is. You've got to remember where he sat in the Woodland Sire Stakes final. He was wide the whole way and he was still able to beat them, albeit without Akuta. But I just think at Alexandra Park on the markers, it's going to take a Herculean performance. I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it, Akuta, but Franco Indy is class, and therefore I'm going to give the nod to him in that $200,000 feature. So that is race number 5 on the program. Let's go to the final event, which again looks a race in 2, and these two have drawn alongside each other. South Coast Arden, $2.50. Selfassured at $1.55. What happens early is going to dictate an awful lot to the finish of this race. Let's have a look at both of these horses and hear off the back of Selfassured's performance from Mark Purdon. But here is South Coast Arden winning the Barrett Holmes Cambridge Classic. One of the supporters of the new race just gets there by the barest of margins. And I put this to Brent Mangos earlier in the week, and he said, look, I still believe he's a couple of runs away from his fitness levels of New Zealand Cup week. Therefore, he'll go very good this week. Maybe I can't drive him as hard as what I would like to in, say, a couple of runs' time, which may very well be the race and or the Auckland Cup, which he's clearly set him for in this campaign. But he's a very good horse, South Coast Arden. He would have derived plenty off that first up run since his win in the New Zealand Free-for-All. And here is Self-Assured, getting the business done in the hands of Maurice McKendry. We didn't show you this race earlier because the 2 3-year-olds, Franco Indy in the Alabar colours and, of course, Mark Purdon down the outside, we knew you'd get a chance to see it here. So they both went excellent against Self-Assured, but he was awesome. 55.3 is what Mark Purdon had to say about him.
Well, Mark, that's 2 from 2 this campaign, and that's probably not really his go sitting park, so not a bad performance.
Yeah, he's working really well, Nick, so I thought he'd be capable of doing it, and Morris drove him positive, which was good, and Morris was wrapped with him.
You gave him that break after cup time thinking he wasn't quite right. He looks more like the Self-Assured of old.
Yes, definitely, Mick. Yeah, no, he definitely wasn't the horse he is here. back in November. So yeah, he's back on track now, and we're looking forward to the more of the racing here up until the Cup.
It's going to be fun taking on South Coast Arden next week.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, we know how good he is. He's a very, very good horse, so it'll be interesting.
Mark, have you had any interest, or has Jean had any interest from any of the potential slot holders for the race? Has anybody rung asking whether Selfassured has been taken or is available for a slot?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, Mick, but I'll talk with Jean tomorrow, and she may well have been approached, but not to my knowledge.
And you mentioned before that let those games begin. I'm sure those discussions are ongoing. But Michael, this week, is it Selfassured's race to lose, just given what Mango said about South Coast Arden? He's good enough to beat Selfassured and has beaten him, but maybe just a fraction early in this campaign for him.
On those two videos, clearly Selfassured is more advanced fitness-wise, but he does have the worst barrier draw, and Kango's inside both of them. So depends what Butch does on Kango, because he can be very belligerent and has the horse to be belligerent with, or, as we saw in the last race, took a trail behind South Coast Arden. I'm not sure which one of those two things is going to happen. Now, if Kango's in front, then there's the Ducks and Drake start, and you're not sure who's going to end up where, and it gets very tricky. I think Selfassured's clear top pick. 155 is very, very short for a horse who's drawn where he may not be an absolute certain leader. Put him in front, Greg, I think he wins. Put South Coast Arden in front, and then all of a sudden you're sitting parked outside a good horse, and he may not be at his peak, but I don't want to be sitting parked outside him at $1.55, Greg. You're right, the start's crucial. There's a lot of three-piece things in play here. So, and there's a few very smart horses out wide. Yeah. If these horses go to war, I know it's easy to think it's just a two-horse race. It's not. There's enough there in a hot and treacherous and a BD Joe Gregory that if something goes wrong, they could snaffle them. So I think it's a really cool little contest. I love the race. I think it's a really nice stepping stone for us all next toward things like the race and the Auckland Cup. But Selfassured on top, no real spoil of the odds.
The Livermore Harness Sprint Classic will complete the night on the inaugural Harness Millions race night there at Alexandra Park. All the very best to all involved there. We're going to take a short break. Stick with us though. There was some terrific racing out of Australia over the weekend, and we're going to review all of that when we come back. Welcome back into your box seat. Let's get straight across the Tasman with the Garrards. Go to one of their key races, arguably the biggest race in Australia. It is the AG Hunter Cup, and here was King of Swing doing it again. Michael in front, barrier draw dictated. Amazing Dream sat in the trail. David Moran did his best with Lochinvar Art, but he was just too good, King of Swing.
Too fast, Gregory, got an easy time in front, and that's what respect you earn. You earn that respect by turning up in these big races and doing it all the time. So when he buzzed home in 25.9, he was going to be too good. Spirit of St. Louis, excellent in second, really good, continues his improvement curve. Amazing Dream, sounds like she is done in the Southern Hemisphere, and that was her last run. She will head offshore to North America and be set for good races coming up there. So wonderful horse, King of Swing. Next stop, the Miracle Mile Preludes for him at Menangle on February 26th into the Miracle Mile. And we would love to see him here, Gregory, for the race. I'm thinking it's more likely no than yes, because Luke probably couldn't come with him at this stage because of the border restrictions. And I think he'll probably stay home. But Spirit of St. Louis, his team, the Summit Bloodstock team, are the majority holders in a share, and I think they may have a chance of bringing him across, albeit potentially going to a caretaker trainer in this part of the world. Wouldn't he be a great addition to the race? So lots of things in play there, Greg.
Yeah, there is. 42 from 80 and 2.7 million. If he was to come home, if you like, it would be very close to home where he was born on Brecon Farms, of course. So great performance from him. Let's go to Kiwi Success with Nathan Purdon and, of course, Stewie McDonald and Spellbound, who just bolted in here. Gee, it was a great performance. It's her first Group 1 win, Michael. 1 151.6, the mile rate, home in 54.8, and just a brilliant performance from this horse that the Duns paid $17,000 for at the Yearling Sales, and is raced by a huge syndicate headed up by Nigel Armstrong. Well done to all involved.
Yeah, wonderful mare, and of course a very poignant moment for Nathan. His granddad's, Roy's thoughts would have been in his mind, of course. It's just that would have been the main factor for winning a Group 1. I know the entire family got a thrill out of that. Very good mare. Probably wasn't the strongest field in the world. And once she led Greg, she was the horse to beat. But she's a class act, and that Group 1, that's going to help.
Yeah, certainly is. 350,000 she's banked, and she now heads to a campaign in the ladyship, of course, coming out of Sydney. So looking forward to that, where she'll be clashing with the likes of stylish Memphis. Further success for Nathan and the Kiwis, part owned by Steve Dole in this one. Amoravita, gee, she's done a job since heading over there, and she's also going to Sydney for the Oaks out of Castellina. Lover, 155.6 mile rate. She's now won 7 of 11, and Chris Alford getting the best out of her, Michael.
Yeah, very fast. Runs past a pretty decent horse here. So, look, I think she's got a chance in Sydney. I think she might just be getting to the end of a campaign. I wouldn't be surprised to see her needing a spell pretty quickly after the New South Wales Oaks. But she'll also like the big track there too, Gregory.
Yep, well, that was her win in the Group 3 Gold Chalice, so an inspired move by them sending her across there nice and early. The other Group 1 winner, Michael, just touch on, was Bondi Lockdown, who won the Bonanza in a 51.6 mile rate. He looks a pretty nice sort of a horse, owned, trained and driven by Aaron Dunn.
He's a good horse. His win on New Year's Eve was massive. He was excellent the other day. Future Grand Circuit horse, future Grand Circuit winning horse. He will now head to the Chariots of Fire in Sydney. He's automatically into the race, whereas horses like Krug, who obviously last week galloped soon after the start, will have to qualify via the race this week against the like of Act Now. So it's going to be a fascinating second and final prelude to the Chariots of Fire this week, Greg, because those who missed out last week only have one more chance.
Yeah, they do. Those who had a chance last Friday night on a massive weekend at Melton. It was Great Southern Star night on Friday night. Let's have a look at the 2 heats and then final. Kiwi success in the second of those. Here's Rules Don't Apply for Anthony Crosland, getting up the passing lane here, beating a previous 2-time winner in Tornado Valley.
Look, and this was a case of Tornado Valley working pretty hard early and just not being the horse he used to be, being beaten by a passing lane horse. Common theme in sprint racing right around Australasia, passing lane horses getting up to win. Nice performance, career best performance from this horse. The best version of Tornado Valley would have beaten him. Wobbly, excellent in third, would go on to be very big in the final. Here's the second heat, and we did us proud here. Here's Temporale, the old boy. He sat parked on a night where most horses don't sit parked to win. He beat some good horses. There's Majesty getting up on the inside to run fourth, and this was by far the quicker of the 2 heats, Greg. Wonderful, wonderful performance from a brave horse who sadly drew the outside barrier, Greg, in the final 2.5 hours later, and that was to cost him any winning chance. Here is that final. Majesty bred in New Zealand by Alabar, gets the lead, gets a very easy time. Wobbly comes at it down the straight, but as you see so often in these type of races, the sprint trips, the leader wins, Greg, and the trailer ran second. Always ready, on Ready Jet, a very strong third, but well done to the team with Majesty from that very quick breed, the lucky horses. This one out of Rosemary's Luck, and Andy Gath continues his quite staggering association with this race. In fact, Greg, with all major open class trotting races in Australia. So, yep, good for the breed, and once again, Greg, a very good reason when you watch all those videos while your back horses on the market picks.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Shifting states, you mentioned it before, the Hondo Grattan taken out by Teishan Raider, but here was the all-important start. That's Krug out wide. Jack Trainer looking to find a spot, and I haven't seen him gallop in a race, obviously not from a standing start. He galloped a couple of times, but in a race, and he just didn't know how to come back down. He gets another chance this week, Michael, but let's concentrate on the winner, Teishan Raider, when we flick to the concluding stages, as Krug was out of play by that stage, dashed away and has to be accorded a very good chance come Chariots time.
He's a good horse. He's trained by Harry Martin, who of course won the Victoria Cup with double identity about 20 years ago now. He's a good horse, and he's a Menangle horse. These Menangle horses know how to do this. They get out of the gate and they keep running. I think there's a fair bit of class still to come for the Chariots of Fire. So that was the lead-up race to the Chariots of Fire, which is on the 19th, Saturday week, with horses like Krug, who it sort of looked like he might have touched a wheel, Greg. I actually don't think he did. He did something in behind there. Like he was just ducking in behind a horse, and he just got upset somewhere. Whether he's crossfired, whether he's touched a wheel, it doesn't matter because it probably won't happen again. Gets barrier 1 this week against Act Now, the Victoria Derby winner. I think he's a better horse than Act Now. He can either lead or trail. That will be crucial at the start, but I presume they'll try and lead. And I think he'll repay punters, Greg, this week by winning and then qualifying for the Chariots of Fire. But whether he's flat out as good as Bondi Lockdown, I guess we'll find out, Greg. But that might come down to barrier draws for the race on Saturday's week. He's got to qualify there first. Carter Dalgetty, who's been caretaker trainer for him, for the family, has actually reigned Just Remember Me to win the last 2 Tuesdays, Greg, at Menangle, and driven it beautifully. So Carter is on a tear in New South Wales, and all the media people I speak to over there, Greg, absolutely loving the little blonde Pokemon.
He's handing himself very well, as you would expect. Friday night, almost missed this, 450,000 they played for in the WA Pacing Cup and the Expat Kiwi. You say that often about WA racing, but Wild West got clear late. Another win in the race for Gary Hall Senior. I think you were telling me it was about his 12th win, Michael. $90 this horse paid, and Lauren Pearson prepared here in New Zealand before he made his way over there.
Remarkable what Gary Senior has been able to do. Junior actually didn't drive this one, of course. He was driving Chicago Bull. But that's an incredible domination. Admittedly, usually, it's only WA horses, but there's still some pretty talented horse people in WA. So incredible. This horse by Raging Bull, little Raging Bull. He was a bit bigger than that, but he wasn't very big. And he's sired himself a WA Cup winner. The horse actually now heading to the McCarthy's in Sydney to concentrate on a Miracle Mile campaign. But it's one of the great dominations in world racing, the Hall family domination of the WA Cup. Yeah.
His career, Raging Bull, might have been about that long, because we didn't get to see him very often.
He wasn't very big, Greg.
No, he wasn't. And I get your sentiment there, Michael. It's a massive week for the New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred Sales. Tell you what, if you can get your hands on a copy of this, well done to the breeders. They've put together a magnificent profile building into the sales, but I wanted to get it from the horse's mouth, if you like, so caught up with a man who knows more about it than I'll ever know, Tony Barron. Tony, you've been in the horse trading business for quite some time now. What excites you about the Yearling Sales this year?
The black type in the catalogue, Greg. To be honest, I've never seen a catalogue like it. Every page you turn over, there's black type, either the dams or the foals, and although the breeding numbers are down, the quality's certainly up. Yeah, over 400 yearlings this year, and one of the highlights, the trotting sale, has been continuing to evolve and grow, and it's got a really good number in the Christchurch sale. Yeah, it's terrific, and we've got a bit of a variety of stallions with the trotters, whereas the paces of, we had the big 4 a few years ago, and it dropped down to basically 2 now, but luckily we've got young ones coming through. But the trotters are, they're very well catered for as far as stallions go. Tony, when you're in a position like you and Shirl are these days, in the last couple of years the sales has been very good to you, you'd have a good overview of how things are building towards the 2022 sale. What's the feeling out there? Pretty good, a lot of interest out there, and as I say, the numbers are down but the quality's up, and you keep wondering when it's going to drop back, but to be honest, like the way New Zealand Bloodstock have operated, it's I don't think it's going to drop back. It's supply and demand, isn't it? Yep, it certainly is. What about your 3 you put in? You've got a colt there by Art Major, and a filly by that same sire, and of course a filly down by the seaside I know you've got a bit of time for. She's a cracking filly, big strong filly, and that's what they say the down by the seasides are, and she's a half-sister to Tommy Waterhouse, who's done a very good job down south, and he won up here as well. And the colt, he's a big colt, but it's... As I said to someone the other day, it's a fickle wild game, the Yearling Sales, because they say they don't like small Art Majors, and this fella's quite big, so we'll see if that keeps them happy. And that's out of Elite Medley, the Medley family that, your name's almost distinctly associated with that family. It's one of those questions I've always asked myself, Greg. did Port Medley make me, or did I make the family? It's been a terrific family for basically 35 years since Peter Marshall first brought the first one, and it's kept us. We've survived through it really. So and it's still going. I'm not as big in it at the moment. We've still got a couple of mares, but you've got to diversify and you've got to keep up with the modern families, and that family can take a little bit of time, but there's not too many duds amongst them.
Tony, the sales is always a great barometer. It tends to show us where the industry's at. Where do you think it's at?
As I say, I'm hoping it's very, very good, but just with a few things hanging over the industry, it hasn't been great, and I don't think the betting's through the roof, for harness racing. But the Australians are still punters, and we've supplied for them for a lot of years, and it'll never die. I mean, this industry will never die, but it's probably just waning off a little bit. But you've always got to be positive.
I knew you'd get an honest answer out of Tony Barron. He and Shirl have 3 horses going through the sales, and Michael, of course, asked for some photos to be sent in. So let's have a look at lot 266, which is one of Tony and Shirl's, the Art Major Christy Brianna Bay filly. This is a very good family, a half to Badlands Jewel, and the first foal was Global Domination. Here's the Art Major Elite Medley colt. As he said, he's a big boy. He's going to do a job when he's Mac, when he's Central, Medley Moose and the like. Here's lot 21's a black colt by Betters out of Alta Leone. She won 6 races as a half sister to Capone, who won 6 times. That's the family of Gracious Knight. Here's lot 268. The Art Major out of Corporate Banner, wonderful family, good looking type too, being prepared by Gail Murray. And here's Regaza Bromax, Art Major colt, really good family too, with Regazo Mac, Cast No Shadow and RR Sand-Dollar out of that family. So good selection there, Michael, but you suggested that I go and have a chat to Tony Barron to get an idea of where things are at, and he's a very, very good judge.
Well, he's a realist who's played into both markets, Greg, thoroughbreds and harness. He understands where the industries sit against each other. There'll be a lot of people at the sales on Sunday, Greg, who are going to be disappointed because they're going to get 300 owners here. So you have to register to go to Karaka, you have to register to go to Christchurch. And they potentially want just mainly buyers because obviously that's how the business runs. So therefore some of our public can't be there. But Greg, there's 131 horses. It's a very hot catalogue and it's got a very big start. It's a big, chunky black type start. So it'll start fast and it'll start furious. A lot of people aren't going to get a horse, Greg. It's a wonderful catalogue. Very, very strong. The presentation of the horses is great. We're in for a good sales week.
Yep.
We're in for a good sales week, Greg. And then after that, once all the horses have been divvied up, we need to sit down and say, right, how do we get this right? We've got some cool things happening here. The Harness Millions needs a tweak. It's difficult with COVID, Greg, but there is some really big chunky light at the end of the tunnel. I think Karaka will average close to 50 again, maybe even more, because they'll have a faster start to the sale. Yep. We don't get the Australians there. We have a wonderful online platform. We'll try and keep people informed. So let's get this done right and then start working on how we can promote these really cool things that are happening, Greg, because betting is down and we need to do a better job on that and we need to do it together.
Yep, we certainly do that, and we wish New Zealand Bloodstock and all the vendors for all the hard work they've put in all the best for the sales. Let's have a look at the map for the week so you can see where the racing is going to be. And it looks like this. We have Addington Raceway, 9 races there. $100,000 Group 1 Fahey Fence High 50th running of the Breeders' Stakes is the feature. Also on is Cambridge that night with the Gold Cups, the Trotters and the Pacers and the Trotting Breeders' Stakes there, along with a couple of futurity finals. Then we go, of course, Saturday, Riverton Cup Day it is during the day, and they have the 10 races there, 12:08 the start time there, and at night, of course, the Harness Millions with New Zealand Bloodstock. Looking forward to the 6-race card there, headed up by the $200,000 3-year-old Colts and Geldings final, Franco Indy versus Akuta and others. And then on Sunday, we've run out of time to preview what is a good program for Cheviot, which race out of Addington Raceway, including the Cup. So that's the program there on Sunday. the $20,000 Businesses Cup. Right, let's get into the Rakiro Racing best bets of the week. Michael Guerin has come up with a multi. Sunday Sun, Highgrove, True Fantasy, Merlin. I think it's $2.31, Michael. Phoebe Onyx for me, race 5, number 9 on Sunday. I think it's a good bet, even off the back mark. And Nyla's the best bet there at Riverton for Jason Broad. Michael, we have to wrap things up because it's been a busy old show. We'll have a whole lot more information off the back of a huge weekend of harness racing ahead.
It's going to be a great time, Greg, to everybody buying or selling horses at the sales. We wish you the best of luck, and to all of our friends involved in the new race, congratulations.
Yep, we'll see you in 7 days.